Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Brave Cat here once again with another Frontier Signals update. So let's try to run through everything here and, show some things at the end here. So taking a look at space weather for the last couple days, looks like we have the first sight of the giant sunspot group that is just now starting to cross the eastern limb. And it looks like it did also drop a long duration M flare already. And right now it looks like we have a little bit of a coronal hole stream uptick in the solar wind here. And, it has not resulted in any solar storms yet. So, the BZ is holding fairly strong here. Let's take a look at what's going on as this thing approaches. So we can already see some minor flaring coming from it. And then as it continues, it just kind of keeps rhythmically pulsing out these flares. Bigger and bigger, like there's an even bigger one. And as it continues to come over here, it's looking pretty angry already. So, we don't have a good sight of it just yet, but it is basically right there. And it does seem to be very capable of producing flares. So we're definitely going to need to take a look at that. You can just barely see the edge of it over here, and you can see a little bit of magnetic polarity there. But we really can't see much of it right now. So we can see that on here. It's kind of shrunken down just slightly, but it is still looking to be quite concentrated with the potential for a few other regions coming behind it. So that is pretty much what we got going on in terms of that right now. So taking a look at the earthquake stuff right now, we do have finally a actual uptick in the slow slip tremor movement here. This time we've got Northern California and up here in Seattle as the two spots here with a combined total of 434 events. So that's, the most that we've seen really for almost an entire month now. And with that, it looks like the tremor movements have escalated a little bit kind of in this same Northern California area. So still over here north of the Bay Area, south of the tremor locations. And other than that, things have been pretty nominal, at least in terms of earthquakes here. There was another deep earthquake over here in Europe, this time striking over here in Romania. And, things have been pretty quiet in Italy, and things have actually quieted down quite a bit over here in the rest of Europe. So things are actually looking, pretty good there. Now it's bugging out again, so I guess we'll just take a quick look at the last 7 days and, if it'll cooperate here. So we can still see a lot of deep earthquakes here that could potentially agitate some regions a little bit further. But overall, things are looking more or less somewhat normal, at least, in most of these regions. So when we compare that to the volcanic activity, there has been a continued uptick in the volcanoes. So we take a look at Mayan Volcano, which is still at alert level 3. And even Krakatoa is still having some unrest going on there. And there was also a somewhat deadly eruption over at Dukono, but that's mostly to do with the fact that there was some hikers and tourists climbing right up to the edge of the volcano, despite people telling them not to. So there was, pretty big eruption there. And, it wouldn't really be that deadly if there weren't people literally standing kind of right on the edge here. So we can see, these people standing right at the edge of the crater as this thing starts to go off. And it looks like, sadly, 3 of them lost their lives and 5 more injured from that. And then there was also some more hikers at the edge of a crater at Guatemala's Santiaguito. So, I guess if you want to go out in a spectacular fashion, I guess, go right up to an active volcano. I guess that's better than some other ways to go out, all things considered. But no, without joking, that's pretty gnarly stuff there. So Okay, there's one more thing I gotta talk about that, has been a trend in the last 5 years and just does not seem to be slowing down at all, and that is once again the absolute incineration of churches worldwide. And, these are not reaching really any sort of media coverage. And even as recently as this year, there's been at least 7 shrines and temples in Japan being burned down, a bunch in Canada, and more recently we have another church in France. And this is just happening all across really the whole world. So I have some kind of preliminary numbers here. It's kind of hard to track this stuff down to the exact numbers in the last 5 years worldwide. But, so far we've got those shrines in Japan going down with dozens of other reports. Canada's at least had 100 plus in the last 5 years, likely more than that. In the US, there's been at least 200 to 300. France, another 140. And for whatever reason, Nigeria has by far the most attacks and burnings of churches, with about 1,200 per year in the last 5 years. And then Asia and the Middle East, at least hundreds there as well. So, it's not good to see, and it's, if you know kind of the more specifics about what is going on, I'm not really going to name that here because this is YouTube. You never know what's going to happen. But, it's pretty bad. It seems like there is definitely kind of a cultural wipe happening across the world. And, it's not good, obviously. So, I was trying not to leave things on a bad note. And, well, all I really have is, I guess, we still have some good cat videos. I know, it's not much, but at least it's something. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed, got something out of it. Please like and subscribe for more, share this video if you dare, and as always, I'll catch you all in the next.